Good evening. These three true scary college stories are sponsored by the Creepypasta Amino app, which is available at the links provided on iPhone and on Android. Once you download and sign up, you become part of an interactive community that allows you to take part in public chats, comment on the profiles of other members, including Killer Orange Cat, start one-on-one chats, create your own blog, and even create your own polls. Download Creepypasta Amino at the links provided, and then follow me, Killer Orange Cat, and maybe you'll find out where Killer Orange Cat is hiding. Number 1. Driving to School. Like everyone else who had just graduated high school and partied through their last high school vacation, I was very excited to start my first day at college. I wanted to experience the entire event in sort of the typical, traditional way. It was a 2-day drive to get to school, and I thought that I would pack up all of my belongings in my beater of a car and take the trip to school alone. You know, enjoy some of the countryside. At the beginning, everything was fine. I started out in the morning, got a lot of driving done while just sitting there with the top down on my car, listening to music. However, bad luck found its way into my plans about an hour before nightfall. While driving, my car just suddenly shut off. All the dash lights came on and the steering wheel seized up. I was barely able to guide the car off to the side of the road, but fortunately I did make it. I was pretty screwed at that point. I'd been taking back roads, not highways, because I wanted to enjoy the countryside. I had driven past a lot of farms, but when my car died on me, I was deep within a long stretch of cornfields. I tried my cell phone, but I was unable to get a signal. I didn't have any tools, and it wouldn't have done me much good even if I had. I didn't know the first thing about working on cars. I considered taking a walk, trying to get to a farmhouse, but I wasn't really keen on that idea. I didn't like leaving my car alone with my belongings in it, especially as I had put the top down on my car, and I wasn't able to get it back up, because I couldn't even get the car lights to turn on at that point. My only option was to sit and wait in the car and hope I could flag down someone to help me. There was very little traffic on that road, as I had mentioned, and with the sun setting, it seemed like the already scarce amount of cars became scarcer. It wasn't until well into the night that an old pickup truck came down the road with 2 guys sitting in it. I didn't even have to wave them down. They took notice of me right away and pulled the truck over in front of my car. The driver then got out, but the passenger remained seated. I guess I thought the driver looked pretty creepy. He looked a lot like someone you would have expected to see out in the country in a horror movie, I guess. He was missing teeth. He was wearing very dirty clothes. However, I wasn't about to judge the only person who had been willing to stop and help me. He asked me what was wrong, and I explained to him that I really didn't know enough about cars to have any idea what was wrong. I just explained to him what had happened, and that I didn't have any tools. I told him I was a freshman in college, and I really needed to get my car fixed so I could get to school. The man walked over to his pickup truck and pulled out what looked like a tire iron. I was confused, and I told him that there was nothing wrong with my tires. I quickly discovered that he really didn't care. As the man quickly came at me, the tire iron raised to strike me. I didn't have much time to try and protect myself, and I doubted that I really could have if I had wanted to, since the guy was a lot bigger than me. I did get my arm up quick enough to make a feeble attempt at catching his arm on the downswing, but it did me little good. I may have softened the blow, but it was more than enough of a hit to send me falling to the ground and for the entire world to go black. If you've never been knocked out before, then I can't really tell you what it feels like. It's all black, of course, but it's almost as if you are both aware and unaware of what's going on. I wasn't sure how long after the hit that I came to, but it was still dark when I opened my eyes. My head was throbbing in a way that it never had before or since. I tried to move and realized I was in a closed-in space. It took me a few moments to realize they had stuck me in the trunk of my car, and if I could fit in the trunk, it meant they had taken my belongings with them. I can't even tell you how long I laid there. I banged on the trunk, trying to force it open, but I couldn't. It was the most terrifying time of my life. I had no idea if anyone would stop and try to help me, or if I would be there all night, or what. I had no idea how serious the blow to my head was. Whenever I had the strength, I would pound on the trunk in an attempt to just get myself out. Finally, after what had to be hours of hell, a local police officer stopped to check out the car just sitting on the side of the road. I heard someone outside, so I began banging on the trunk again. I guess the asshole that attacked me had left the keys in the car, so the officer got me out. It was then that I saw they had taken everything of mine. They had cleaned out my trunk and taken everything from the backseat of my car, even my clothes. Of course, that was the least of my worries, as the police officer had to call an ambulance for me. Fortunately, even though I was knocked out, I was not seriously injured. I did eventually get to school, but I did get there late. My parents were kind enough to forward me money to buy new clothes and other things, and I was happy that the experience didn't sour me on school. But in future drives, I just take the highway. Number 2. The dorm mate. Even though I was really looking forward to college for my freshman year, and I was excited about living in the dorms, the one thing I was not excited about were the rules my chosen school had regarding freshman housing. All freshmen had to have either a double or triple room. We had to have a dorm mate, and we were not allowed to pick our dorm mate either. A few of my friends from high school were also going to the same school, and I really wanted to room with one of them. But no, I was matched up with a guy named Colin. I tried to remain positive about the experience. I mean, I had been looking forward to going to school for a long time. But meeting Colin, well, it really didn't lighten my disappointment at all. He was really weird, very dark, and I don't mean goth. I actually had goth friends, and I don't mean to offend any of your viewers if they are goth, but to me, goth just seems like a fashion statement. I never truly think goth guys are really truly dark. Colin was dark. Colin was morose. He looked like someone who never went outside. He had really pale skin, uneven facial hair, and even though it was hot as hell outside, he always wore a ratty and dark blue hoodie with the hood always pulled up. He even slept in it. I don't think I ever saw him without it. And the times that I saw him sleep were very few. I mean, I guess he had to sleep sometimes, but it definitely wasn't when I was trying to sleep. He had a book lamp over his bed, and he would spend the entire nights reading. His eyes were always bloodshot, and I began to wonder if he was taking some sort of drugs. He really gave me the creeps. I think the worst thing about Colin, however, was the way that he never said much of anything to me, at all. He barely acknowledged me when I first met him. I got a half nod and a, "Hey," when I introduced myself. But even though Colin was weird and standoffish, I tried my best to just be fine with him. He was never rude or mean to me. For the first couple of months of living together, it was never tense. He just did his thing and I did mine. It began getting weird though, one night when I was sleeping. I got woken up by Colin yelling at someone. And then I heard the unmistakable sounds of someone being punched over and over again. I opened my eyes but didn't get up. I was surprised at first that Colin had brought someone into the room when I was sleeping. But he actually hadn't. Colin was punching himself in the face, over and over again. I was actually a little scared, so I just pretended to be asleep. He didn't carry it on for very long, and soon the room was quiet. After a very long time, I finally fell back to sleep. At first, I was definitely a bit frightened. I even considered going to the housing department, letting them know what had happened and demand that I be transferred to a different room. It was actually one of my buddies that convinced me not to, though. He told me that he had personally had moments of frustration with his own life and the world, and he had punched himself before. He didn't do it regularly or anything, but he definitely had done it. What convinced me to overlook it was when he said at least he was taking out his frustrations on himself, and not someone else. At the time, my friend's words made sense to me. But looking back, they really shouldn't have. Colin didn't end up punching himself again. Or at least if he did, he didn't do it when I was in the room. But he just continued being his weird and sullen self. About a week before Thanksgiving break was coming up, and God, was I looking forward to it, I was woke up again by a noise coming from Colin's bed. Although this time, it wasn't a yell or a punching sound. It was sort of like a suppressed exclamation of pain. Although I woke up, my head was under the blanket, so I couldn't see what he was doing. I opened my eyes and peered out from a corner of the blanket to see the most horrifying sight I had ever seen in my life. Colin was sitting on the bed, completely naked, covered in blood, and slicing his skin open with what looked like a serrated knife. The shock caused me to jump out of bed and ask what he was doing. Colin looked at me, his eyes wide. He dropped the knife on the blood-stained bedsheets. He held out his hands and extended his fingers like he was trying to grab something out of the air, over and over. I had never been so scared in my life. I immediately ran down the hall to the RA's room and started pounding on her door. She got up, and when I explained what was wrong, she called campus security and an ambulance. She then told me to show her to my room. When we got back, Colin was lying on the bed, covered in blood and wounds. It was such a sickly sight that I struggled to try to describe it. The campus police got there quickly and tried to tend to Colin while keeping the RA and I in the hall, asking us questions. Colin was taken to the hospital. I never saw Colin again. I, of course, do not know what was wrong with him, although looking back, it seems like he had borderline personality disorder. Housing let me take my things out of my room the following day, and they upgraded me to a single room due to my experience. Colin left school. I know that, because the RA had us all sign him a card. I hope he's okay. I hope Colin was able to take care of the problems and go back to school. I feel bad about the experience. Maybe if I had told the RA about Colin punching himself, they would have known something was wrong, and would have tried to get him some help. I don't know. Number 3. Killer Orange Cat. My scary college experience isn't something that happened to me. It wasn't an experience that happened to anyone I know, but it happened on my college campus when I was at school there. Like the other stories I've told that have happened to me, I tell this story not for any sympathy, so please don't feel sorry for me. I tell it because I am proud of my school, and I love my school, and I think it's important that we never forget these things when they happen. It was a very cold day in February. It was on a Thursday, and on Tuesdays and Thursdays during this semester, I only had classes at night, child psychology at 7 p.m. And as I remember, I had a paper due for that class. Although I had my own dorm room, I also had a television in that dorm room, and I knew that as long as I had the game show network, I was not going to get my work done. So I grabbed my laptop and went out to find a quiet nook in the honors lounge of my dormitory. I was mainly working on my citations. I was using the online database of psychology journal articles to work on my paper. So I would look at the article information, switch over to Microsoft Word, type the information in, and go back. Well, around 3 p.m., when I was done citing one article, I went to pull up a second article from the database. It was then that a very frightening thing happened. Over the library database page, a red notice appeared on the screen. The notice read, "There has been a report of a possible gunman on campus. Get to a safe area and take precautions until given the all clear. Avoid the King Commons and all buildings in that vicinity." Well, yes, I was scared. The King Commons was not where I was, though. I was fortunately in my building, so I unplugged my laptop, ran up the 4 flights of stairs, and locked myself in my dorm room. For what was likely the next half hour, but it seemed like an eternity, I kept refreshing the homepage of my school's website, hoping to get some sort of update on what was going on. It was finally at some time after 3:30 that the message was updated that the shooter had been killed, but it still instructed everyone to stay in their rooms. Unfortunately, as the details came in, we learned that a graduate student from another college came to our school, entered a lecture hall, and shot 26 students, killing 5 of them before killing himself. I checked my Facebook page that day, and there were tons of my friends posting messages to me asking if I was okay. I had to confirm to them that I was not involved in the event at all. We of course held memorials for the students who were involved, and we made a pledge to never forget what happened on February 14th, 2008, at Northern Illinois University. I'm Killer Orange Cat. I'll never forget, and I'm of course proud to be a Husky. Hey all, Killer Orange Cat here. If you like this video, please let me know by hitting the like button. Also feel free to share it and comment on it. If you're not already subscribed to Killer Orange Cat, please hit the button next to the tabby to be informed of new content. Feel free to follow Ichigo and myself on Facebook and Twitter. If you have a scary story you'd like me to narrate, please email it to the address contained in the description. Fall is on its way. This is my favorite time of year, coming immediately after summer, which is my least favorite. I get so little inspiration in the summertime, and I'm not a big fan of hot weather, and we all saw how this affected my content. But I'm already starting to feel revitalized, and I'm ready to start building up towards Halloween. As I mentioned in my last video, I do plan on trying to redo my Hyakkomonogatari Kaidankai video to be released this Halloween. If you have supernatural stories that you'd like included in this video, please email them to me. This is a Japanese traditional storytelling ritual where 100 supernatural tales are told in an attempt to break down the walls between the human and spirit world. I can think of no better time to post this video than Halloween. And this year, I promise not to go anywhere by Greyhound and lose my hard drive, so I will be able to actually get this video up. Okay, next video will be a collaboration with my friend Hero to Villain and should be out soon. In the meantime, if you haven't been over to his channel lately, please take a trip over there. He's got a lot of good videos and I think you would enjoy them. And in the meantime, make sure to check in your closet and check under your bed, because you never know where a killer orange cat might be hiding. Good night.